Hello, this is Matt Bergman, and you're listening to the Punk Rock Libertarians Podcast, episode 56. I'm here tonight with Jared Schneiderman.
What's up, Matt?
Hey, dude. How's it going, man?
Pretty good, man.
Cool.
So did you vote for the continuation of your enslavement?
I did not vote today.
Neither did I.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't... Well, I'm registered libertarian, so I can't vote in any of the primaries. And there wasn't really anything else worth voting for, so... Nope, didn't vote. What about you? Are you registered libertarian?
I'm actually... I switched from libertarian to Republican in 2012 to vote for Ron Paul in the primaries, and I haven't bothered switching back yet. So
Okay.
I was considering voting today. I was considering going today and voting for Rand, even though he's not in it anymore. There's no chance he has of winning it. He's officially dropped out, but apparently his name will still be an option that you could vote for.
Really? Like on the ballot? Or do you have to write it in?
No, that's my understanding. His name would still be on the ballot.
Huh.
Oh, excuse me.
I didn't know that.
So so I was considering just going there and putting his name down because I feel like it would be it would
protest vote.
Yeah, it would be a message to the GOP. If anything else, I guess.
Yeah,
but
most people did it.
I was never super in love with Rand. I figured, since I am registered a Republican, as a Republican, I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I got up today and I had plans to hang out, and I'm not that crazy a supporter of Rand, and it's like he's dropped out anyway, so I'm like, fuck it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know. It's like, do I want to switch my affiliation to Libertarian? Because I really don't like being associated with Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
And of course I wouldn't want to be associated with Democrats either. So
Right.
I feel like Libertarian's the only party I would probably want to be associated with.
Yeah.
Because
that's basically what I did. I mean, right after Ron Paul didn't get the nomination, I pretty much immediately re-registered as libertarian.
Yeah, I mean,
so I just didn't even. I felt dirty. I felt dirty being a part of the Republican Party.
Yeah,
so I was like, I gotta just either register as independent or register as a libertarian.
I believe the different states have different rules, but I believe you have to have so many people registered as libertarian to keep libertarians on the ballot.
Yeah, exactly.
And
that was also part of my thinking.
Well, as far as I know, Maryland isn't in any, or hasn't been in any dire trouble of not having enough libertarians registered. So
okay.
Yeah, and I'm a slacker, so switching it, it's like whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great if you could just do it online, but
yeah, and
of course you can't.
And I don't know, and part of me too, it's just like being registered libertarian. It's like, well, if Maryland's not in any sort of dire trouble of having libertarians getting taken off the ballot, it's not like libertarians have a conventional primary anyway that I can really vote in.
Yeah.
So
there's really no benefits, right?
Should I stay as a Republican in case Rand runs in 2020 and happens to do better? Or,
yeah.
I don't know.
Or someone else.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean,
who knows? There could be some Democrat that comes around.
Could be, and
I mean, it seems less
if that were
likely,
the case, I would switch. It does seem less likely, but I mean, if that were the case, I would switch.
Yeah.
It's part of me would even like to consider switching to a Democrat to vote for Bernie, and it's not even that I like Bernie so much. I like him on some civil liberties issues. I think he's economically retarded. But it's really out of hatred for Hillary so much. I have such a hatred for Hillary. I think she's just the worst. I've just never been a fan of her. And I do think she is the worst person in this election. I don't know. I just really dislike Hillary.
Yeah.
So
just registering just to vote for Bernie just to spite Hillary, basically, right?
Yeah. I mean. I don't know. I'm I've been against the two-party system since I was 16, and initially I was just a principled non-voter.
Yeah.
It was after reading a Chomsky book, and it was just he just kind of pointed out Republicans, Democrats, it's one side talks to the right a little bit, one side talks to the left a little bit, but they get in and they do all the same things, yada yada yada. There's no difference, it's what they do and what they say. They both tend to do kind of similar things. It's kind of like an illusion of choice to appease the people.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, that makes total sense. You know, it's why even get excited about it? Fuck politics. You know, so yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's basically, but it's funny though, because there's a lot of like really annoying lefties that are saying right now that they'll leave the country.
Dude, they say that every election.
I
dude.
know, but it's so funny. It's damn you.
It's like, please just leave already.
Stop tempting me to vote for Trump.
Yeah.
You know,
dude,
like,
if voting for Trump meant all those fucking lefties would leave,
I know,
I'd fucking do it in a heartbeat.
yeah, like fucking Lena Dunham. Like,
Oh, Jesus
man.
Christ.
And it's funny too because she's so like outspokenly liberal and shit.
Yeah.
But yet she's endorsing Hillary Clinton.
Of course she is.
And it's just like, you know,
What is she using, like the feminist argument?
well, my buddy posted the other day. He's like, my buddy, I love my buddy, this guy Paul Joyce.
Yeah.
He I want to have him on the podcast sometime. I'd say he's like he's a libertarian dude, you know. As far as I know, he's not registered libertarian.
Yeah.
But you know, like the idea of freedom, I feel like resonates with him on many an issue.
Sure.
But you know, right now, you know, he's feeling the burn, as I know some libertarian people are.
Yeah.
You know, and some people are gonna rag on them and like, whoa, they're not really libertarians. It's like, you know, whatever, dude.
Yeah, I've gotten over that. I mean, I get it. It's not. I mean, for me, it doesn't make sense, but I understand the perspective. You know, I mean, I see the argument. And I don't necessarily fault anybody for really voting for Bernie per se. It's just I'm not going to, or I didn't. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of me would feel like if I was registered Democrat, like, you know, say I was, you know, to just fuck around in the primaries, you know.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you know, in a lot of sense, like I said, libertarians aren't in any jeopardy of being taken off the ballot in Maryland, last I heard.
Yeah.
So, you know, I could really register as either party just to fuck with the primaries, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, just out of pure hatred for Hillary, you know, I could go and vote for the burn, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's I wouldn't feel too bad about it. It's the primaries, you know? I don't think I'd vote for, I know I wouldn't vote for Bernie in like a general election, you know?
No.
But, you know, it's funny though. These celebrities are totally tempting me to vote for Trump. I think Rosie O'Donnell was another, Whoopi Goldberg, Raven Simone. You know, there's a lot of people just threatening to leave.
But I mean, they did that for Bush. They did that for McCain.
Yeah.
I mean, it's every year, pretty much.
Yeah, they always threatened to leave. It was pretty hysterical when the conservatives were threatening to move to Canada because of Obama and the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah, which doesn't make any sense.
I know, socialized healthcare. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
It's like Canada would take them anyways. You know.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
I saw a few posts online of people who were I know to be conservative actually switched their registration to Democrat just to vote for Bernie.
Yeah,
like a guy I know that's pretty much votes Republican. You know, he's sort of on the Christian right. Like, he's not crazy Christian right. I mean, he's a partier, but you know, he typically, you know, goes Republican for voting, but he switched to Bernie. And I'm just wondering, you know, I didn't get into it with him. I didn't ask him about it, but I wonder how much of that had to do with putting the vote against Hillary, or the fact that just the Republican side is just such a circus that it's not even worth participating in. Well,
you know, like I think a lot of it has to do with, or I think it mostly would have to do with Bernie being a little more genuine. Mm-hmm. You know, and I feel like people kind of like go for that. Like, I feel like there was probably some people that went for Ron Paul, not as much because of they agreed with everything that he said, like with everything that he said. They just thought that he was more genuine, that he was more going against the establishment, and people were sick of the establishment.
Right.
But you know, meanwhile, it's sadly, you know, not everything that he said really stuck with them. You know. As we can see, like, you know, some of those Paul bots are now burn bots, you know?
Yeah, yeah. But it would have been nice if more of today's burn bots were Paul bots back in the day. I mean, because he's getting way more of a sizable vote than Ron Paul did. I mean, you're talking he's winning some primaries.
Well, that could also have to do with Democrats being a little bit like hipper. You know what I mean? Like it's a little more cool to be Democrat than it is to be Republican. I don't know. Maybe that kind of gives them a push a little bit.
I wonder if there would have been a way for Ron Paul to somehow to run as a Democrat. I mean, I wonder if there's some way he could sort of package his ideas to appeal to the left.
You know, well, like I've watched like probably like 1,000 Ron Paul interviews, and I remember watching one where he was talking about when he first got into politics, and he wasn't sure which party he was going to be.
Really?
Yeah, just because he was so different from both, and he had no idea which party to run under.
Yeah.
And
I guess it makes sense to run under or Republican because they're allegedly the party of small government.
I mean,
so if you come in and say, "Well, look, I'm actually small government," then it kind of makes sense. I mean, we all know that there is no such thing as the party of small government, unless you're talking about the Libertarian Party.
Well, this is kind of like I'm just thinking about this, and I didn't research this beforehand, but I remember in the interview, I think he was talking to a buddy of his that was a Democrat.
Yeah.
And but I forget the guy's name, but apparently he was a pretty cool Democrat, and. And Paul was asking him which party to run under, so I guess like Paul really had no idea at the time, So
I wonder how, because obviously, I mean, if you think of it as kind of like a Venn diagram with Ron Paul kind of fitting over the Republican Party in some aspects, and then other aspects completely sliding over the edge. I mean, like, where would he fit in on the other side of that Venn diagram with the Democrats? Like, how far over could he overlap, and still be like a legitimate Democrat that Democratic people could vote for,
Well,
if that were the case, would he get more votes than he did on the Republican side?
Well, I mean, dude, when you think about it, it would be pretty easy to do. I mean, all you have to do is say, I'm a classical liberal, well, and then just be like, you guys aren't real liberals.
Yeah, but what I mean? How do you avoid?
Like,
how do you avoid questions of like welfare? I mean, how do you avoid questions of, cutting down on social programs, that sort of thing? I mean, those questions would be where he like kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. Whereas if you start talking about like gay rights, legalizing drugs, all that stuff, although the Democrats haven't even been the best with the legalization, but at least the base is there. But I mean, those sort of things. Yeah, I mean, he would overlap with. So
I mean, like, I do think it would be awesome for. I mean, I've said it a bunch. I think it would be awesome for a libertarian to infiltrate the Democratic Party. Because I do think what Ron Paul did was great. And, a lot of people said he should have run as a libertarian. It's like, no, he was heard so much because he was in those Republican debates,
Right.
The libertarian debates, it's just this time that they were actually televised on, national
Are you familiar
TV.
with Jim Webb at all?
Maybe that's the guy that Ron was talking to. I don't know. Wait, Jim Webb, who is he?
He was a Democratic candidate. I saw, like, Brian Combs was posting a lot of shit about him. He seemed like kind of libertarian. I mean, he was still a Democrat, but like he was still like a true Democrat. But he was saying some pretty libertarian shit, civil liberties, that kind of thing. I think he spoke out against surveillance, maybe that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I feel like I read about him, but I can't remember now.
And I mean, Bernie also is there, but the problem with Bernie is that when it comes to the other stuff, he's just so far on the far left that it just has to give you pause if you're a libertarian. I mean, it's kind of. Are you blowing your nose there, buddy? Okay. Yeah, but it would have been interesting to see if that friend had convinced Ron Paul to hop over to the left. I mean, maybe he would have had more success because I think it's much easier to get. It would have been much easier to get Republican voters to come over to vote for him as a Democrat than to get a Democrat to vote for a Republican. I think.
I don't know. maybe. I mean, like
It just seems
all
like
I'm all for trying it from different ways. You know, we
Yeah.
get many libertarians out there in as many parties,
Sure.
as many people, you know, leaning towards freedom. You know, especially you know people like Ron Paul leaning majorly towards freedom.
right.
You know, yeah. So I don't know. So did you say they're announcing that Hillary won Maryland?
Yeah, that's what I just read. Although it said 0% precincts were reporting.
Yes,
So,
I don't know. I don't understand how you could call that, but
I think I think they do it based on exit polling, but I mean I don't know how. I don't know how the hell that works. I mean, and like Pennsylvania hasn't announced, and they've already got like, I think like 20% reporting. So I don't know how the fuck it works, dude.
yeah,
But
like,
I'm not surprised though. I didn't really think Bernie was gonna win here.
see, that's funny because I thought he did. Like,
Really?
yeah, I was talking to Status Net earlier, and he was saying, yeah, well, I think Bernie's at least going to win Catonsville. I don't know. I mean, dude,
I mean, there was like a huge Bernie rally,
you know,
yesterday or today.
Well, it's funny. Like, judging by like my Maryland friends on Facebook, it's everybody's talking about Bernie. Like,
Yeah, but that's the thing. You got to be aware of the fact that you kind of have a bubble that we all have our bubbles that we live in.
totally.
So like our bubble seems like, yeah, I don't see any posts about Hillary, but she's winning all these fucking states. So, I mean, there's like a whole slew of people that aren't in my social circle or my Facebook circle, and those are all the people who vote for Hillary
Yeah, I don't
or
know.
Trump or
Like,
whatever.
Like, I kind of feel like too, like the people that are voting Bernie seem to be like more excited about it. And I kind of feel like there's a lot of people voting for Hillary that are just like not saying anything. They're just like,
Yeah, exactly.
like trying to not bring attention to themselves because they're kind of ashamed, but at the same time they're going for status quo again.
Right.
You know, so I don't know. And then I feel like Trump has a lot of people like that too. I feel like Trump though, he has people that are gung ho for him, but then he has people that are just like, you know, they're kind of embarrassed because their friends rag on Trump so much, so they don't want to say that they're voting for him, but you know they're going to go with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just another sad year of American politics.
Another day at the circus.
You know, I was hanging out with my buddy earlier, you know, and we were talking about it. And it's funny, you know, because we spend a lot of time like complaining about politicians and talking politics, and you know, he spent a lot of time complaining about them, and then he starts complaining about how they don't get things done, and I'm just like right away, I always bring this up. Like, whoa, wait a second. I love how people will complain about politicians like fucking 90% of the time they're complaining about how horrible they are.
Yeah.
And then like 10% of the time they'll complain about them not being able to get anything done. And it's like, dude, you were just telling me how horrible they are. Do you really want them to get anything done?
Exactly.
You know, if anything,
I mean, that's why,
if anything, that's the brilliance of our system is that, you know, there's so much gridlock and checks and balances that they aren't able to get much done.
Right. I mean, that's another reason to maybe support Bernie Sanders is, I mean, if he gets elected, you know he's going to be trying to push through all this crazy shit, and none of it's going to get through. So
well, I mean, and then
fucking
yes,
deadlock.
And dude, that was a point that I made. And then you know, my friend's going to probably vote for Bernie.
Yeah.
And you know, but he made the same point about Trump. It was kind of like a point towards Trump. It's like,
I mean, it could go.
It was
yeah,
like, it was
I
like,
mean,
he was like, well, how much could Trump get done? You know, because I mean, it's you know, while my buddy likes you know how Bernie's you know more genuine than you know 90 whatever % of politicians. You know, at the same time, he also likes that Trump is pissing the establishment off and that Trump is pissing Republicans off, and that's the thing that I like about Trump too.
Sure.
You know, so. You know, that's why, once again, I got to say it over and over again, that this is like the most interesting presidential election I've ever seen.
Yeah.
You know, just hopefully the Libertarian Party can just get in there and, you know,
Make a splash.
Yeah, man, really make a splash and kind of grab some of this dissent and kind of, you know, use it to their advantage.
Right. Yeah. What was I going to say? But see, here's the thing is like, so there's a reason to vote for Bernie. There's a reason to vote for Trump. But think about voting for Hillary is like, she could just easily get shit done because she's going to play the political game. You know, she doesn't have any real, you know, ethos or anything. Like, she's just going to do whatever she can.
Yes,
to get
Hillary is the worst. Hillary is the worst. Hillary is the worst of all evils.
the worst. She is Satan incarnate.
Yeah, I mean, dude, she's fucking horrible.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't understand the appeal. I guess people are just scared.
Yeah,
I think people are just so scared of. I mean, they're scared of Trump because he's loud and obnoxious, and they're scared of Bernie because he's a socialist. So it's like, well, at least Hillary's a known quantity, right? Hillary, we know what she's done. We know what she's going to do. For most people, they don't really feel like it's going to affect them negatively because they're not, brown people in the Middle East.
I'm getting so pissed right now thinking about like all like the liberal women who are going to vote for Hillary just because she's a woman.
Yeah, that's so much bullshit.
It's sexist as a motherfucker, dude.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, if you're really liberal, if you really believe in all that socialist jack off, fucking vote for Bernie.
Yeah.
And then, I'm talking to my buddy today too, and he's giving Bernie his props, and I'm like, I'll give him his props too. I think he's great on social issues, and I think he's more genuine than 95% or more than like your average politician.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it was Milton Friedman who said, that we should judge programs or government programs by their results and not their intentions.
Yeah.
So at the same time, let's judge Bernie's ideas by their eventual results and not their intentions.
Sure.
Bernie wants to make everybody equal, but by doing that, I think he's going to make everybody equally poor.
Sure.
So it's basically, like his results are just like, as far as economics, I just think they're pretty insane. They're pretty fucking dumb.
Yeah.
So, that's why, I like these like little things about Byrne, but, I really can't feel the Byrne just because he is so economically retarded.
Yeah.
And it's at one point, I get excited for my friends that are Byrne bots a little bit because they're kind of going against the status quo.
Yeah.
But then I always have to jump back because the economics are just so retarded, man. And I'm just so like into economics, just like I was talking to my buddy earlier about economics, and just basically like how you let things alone, and if you have an entirely free market, good business is gonna be rewarded, bad business is gonna be punished, and it's basically it's as simple as mathematics,
Yeah, and I've gotten into conversations recently just about because I've been getting more political in my posts. Like I kind of try to separate out like my punk rock libertarian life from my Jared life. But lately, I just haven't been able to help myself, so I've been like posting memes and posting like taxation is theft. My taxation is theft post got a pretty lengthy convo going on it.
Dude, why the fuck not, man? Because like you can post on punk rock libertarians, and like I'll post on punk rock libertarians, and there are times when I haven't been as active on my actual Facebook page.
Yeah.
And maybe it's for different reasons. Maybe it's like there are times when I feel like some of my friends are probably sick of hearing me talk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or maybe it's because of like, oh, well, I'm already posting all this shit on punk rock libertarians. I don't have time to post on my regular Facebook.
Right.
But, I don't know. I feel like for a while now, I've been posting a lot on my regular Facebook page too. And, it's just, I just make sure, or at least I try to not come off as a dick,
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't feel like I have to try hard because I don't believe that I am inherently a dick.
Yeah.
It's basically like I don't want to say things that people could construe as even dickish, in any way,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean the whole sort of I wouldn't even really call it a debate, more of a discussion that I had was it was entirely civil, and I was just kind of explaining like, here's why I think taxation is theft. If we don't, and then the next question was, okay, if we don't have taxation, how do you do all the things that, all these social programs, how do you do all this? And
as long as there's violence, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And I basically,
like, I don't know. I do it. Go ahead, do it.
Right. And
it's fucking, I'm not saying you can't do it. And that's the whole thing, dude. That's the whole difference between like fucking, your fucking, neocon friend and your like, progressive democratic socialist friend. Like that's the whole difference, man. It's those people have like these ideas as to like how to run a society, and their ideas require forcing other people, you know. Whereas like, the true libertarian is big, like, I think that's what makes our message superior. We're just like, I don't know, just do whatever the fuck you want, just don't hurt anybody else.
Right.
It's,
and I mean,
I'm not claiming to be wise enough to force you how to live,
Yeah, and I mean, I just try to think of it as like, if like, if let's say that magic was real, right? And someone passed a curse on the world that was like, you can't use force for anything. Would everything just fall apart? Or would we find a way to do the same things that we're doing now, just without force?
I mean,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
if force is not an option, are you saying there's no other way to build roads? Are you saying there's no other way to create a social safety net? That there's no other way to run healthcare? I mean,
no. I mean,
it's just. I feel like if you're going to make that claim, the onus is on you to prove that, and you can't prove that. You can only point to the way things are and say, well, look, we have roads and we have the government made the roads, so that means that we need government for roads. I mean, just because you're not smart enough or creative enough or imaginative enough to figure out on your own how we could have a privatized road system, it doesn't mean that a privatized road system can't exist.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, how do we...
and I mean... Look at the way the road systems are under statism. They're not that
how
great.
how do we manufacture cars?
Right.
How do we grow and sell and distribute food?
How do we build skyscrapers? How do we build? I mean,
exactly.
It seems like for whatever reason, there's these certain blind spots that statists have when it comes to like things like roads and education.
Yeah, when it comes to
things like hamburgers and fucking tennis shoes.
Yeah, when it comes to things that the government has already claimed monopoly on, and things that people are used to seeing the government divvy out and handle.
Yeah,
they just think like, how will we do it without them?
Yeah.
Whereas like, it's easy. How do we do anything without them? You know, and
it's not like there's something special.
It's
or
like
magical
most people
about
wouldn't want the government to take over food. I mean, to everybody but Bernie Sanders, for the most part, bread lines are a horrible idea.
See, yeah, that fucking shit was crazy. Hearing him say that.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, how shocking is it? I mean, he was the person who was ragging that there was 25 different types of deodorant.
I mean, it's not. I mean, it's not that it. It's under. I mean, I'm not. I don't know. I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised. I guess. I'm sure he thinks that, but just to hear him say it was like, dude. That's just. I mean, that's just like the ultimate. Breadlines is like the ultimate sign of just like a societal collapse into depression. I mean, how can you possibly say that? I don't know, man.
Excuse me.
That shit is crazy. You want to get into this McAfee shit?
Yeah, man. It's I gotta say, like, this whole like this is the closest I've ever followed like a libertarian primary this time around. Like honestly, in 2012, I voted for Johnson, but I don't think I paid much attention to the libertarian primary.
Yeah.
And then I think a lot of that this time is, it's not just like, Gary Johnson's was I feel like last time Gary Johnson was like the only like reputable name running. There were other people running who I'd heard of, but with this time you got John McAfee, and you've got Austin Peterson, who a lot of people know and many people hate. I feel like, or at least they should, and so. You're getting a lot of exposure, and it's we've kind of stayed off this topic. I feel like in the past couple of weeks, but I don't know. It's kind of like it's something like I feel like a lot of people are talking about. It's Judd Weiss posted on Facebook on was it April 15th? He posted like a rather long post, and he made some accusations. About the Gary Johnson campaign, And in his accusations, he said that members of the Gary Johnson campaign offered people from the John McAfee campaign money to go work for the Gary Johnson campaign. And then when those people declined, then the Gary Johnson campaign offered them money to just leave the John McAfee campaign. Mm-hmm. And, that was one of his accusations. And then another one of his accusations was that Gary Johnson's taking his, campaign donation money and buying out all the hotel rooms for the Libertarian National Convention to, put his people in there and kind of like stack the deck in his favor.
Right.
And I mean, I feel like, I've got ins with the Johnson campaign, and I talked to my buddy who's with the Johnson campaign, and right away he was like, yeah, go fuck yourself. He's like, he was so mad that I would even bring this up to him. I was
considering that it was true.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just like, whoa, dude. I just read about this like fucking 2 minutes ago, and I'm copying and pasting it and sending it to you. Because I found out about it like the next day. I was kind of late on it.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I've seen it, and he told me to go fuck myself like 4 times. So
go fuck yourself?
Yeah.
Like he was pissed at you?
Oh, that I even mentioned, that I even like would question it, and it's basically like and then I was like, whoa, dude, calm down. I'm like, you're kind of starting to piss me off, He's like, well, you need to do your research. And I'm like, this is my research. I just found out about it. You are my ins in the Gary Johnson campaign. I've known you since 2010. That's 2 years before you ever worked with Gary Johnson, So fucking, this is my research. I'm coming straight to you before I'm writing articles in the Daily Liberator, quoting Judd Weiss's scripture. Yeah. So, we actually talked on the phone till like 2:30 in the morning.
For how long?
How long did we talk on the phone that night? We probably talked on the phone for about 45 minutes to an hour. Like,
damn.
So we were talking on the phone till like 2:30 in the morning on like a Saturday night. And, then he sent me the official response from the Gary Johnson campaign, which was up about an hour after Judd Weiss's post. Mm-hmm. And so basically they're like, yeah, this is bullshit. We didn't offer anybody from the John McAfee campaign money to come to our campaign, and we didn't offer them money to quit. And also they said that they have only purchased 2 rooms at the hotel where the Libertarian National Convention is going to be held, in I believe it's in Tampa.
Okay.
They've only purchased 2 rooms there. And I'm imagining one's for Gary Johnson, one is for, different members of his campaign or what. I have no idea. Yeah. So, and if they said the other rooms are bought up, talk to the Libertarian National Committee, because like the Libertarian Party might have bought those rooms for whatever purpose. Yeah. But, Gary Johnson hasn't. And I think it's pretty ridiculous because,
why would he go through all that trouble to fucking, he's not really
exactly.
threatened.
Yeah, man. It's like... It's as far as I can see, he's still the party's favorite. Yeah. I don't know. Like to me, I've always broken it down like this. It's Gary Johnson is actually he's the only presidential candidate that has any sort of executive experience, right. like Trump doesn't have any executive experience, like in government, and neither does Hillary, whereas Gary Johnson was, a governor, AKA president of a state, two times in a row, he has a ton of executive experience. Yeah. And so, and we have this guy running as a libertarian. I think he's probably he's the best candidate off the top of my head, besides if we could get Ron Paul to come out of retirement. Yeah, I think that's the only person off the top of my head that I think would be a better candidate than Gary Johnson. Right. And I honestly, I'm not so sure Ron Paul would be. Because I kind of feel like Gary Johnson. I kind of feel like Gary Johnson works well with the left too. I kind of feel like he would recruit more lefties than anybody else. And the proof's in the pudding on that. Because he was a Republican governor in a historically Democratic state. Right. If he was able to do it there, I don't know. So, and it's with John McAfee. While I love hearing him wax philosophical, I think he's like fucking entertaining as hell. I love how you Google the man and every other picture is him with his shirt off holding a gun.
Yeah.
That's cool. I think like when you mention John McAfee to people, it's like every other person is going to be like, oh, you mean the dude that killed a man? You know what I mean?
It's the guy who like ran a software company into the ground.
Yeah, I mean, and it's basically like, well, I think he's entertaining, and I think he rocks, and I like a lot of the shit that he says. I mean, it's like like putting out like the Apple ad or putting out the ad where they take off the software off the computer, and he's like doing coke and banging prostitutes. While I think it's hilarious and it's one of the best things ever, it's kind of like stuff like that, might not work to your best favor. And then, McAfee recruits Judd Weiss. So McAfee's got his own past to kind of like defend or explain. And then he brings in Judd Weiss, who's like, a playboy. And he was like...
a playboy?
Well, a playboy. He's kind of like a player,
He is? I don't know much about him.
Well, I do believe he was taken to court for like some sort of rape case where he got off. He was found innocent.
Okay.
But so that's like one of those things. So Weiss kind of has like a tainted image,
checkered past.
Yeah, where he was found innocent, like nobody here is saying he was guilty or whatever. But
yeah.
It's kind of like McAfee's got his own checkered past,
Yeah.
and whereas. And I'm not making any claims about McAfee's past, like he did do anything bad. McAfee's explained it all, and it all makes sense.
Yeah.
I like McAfee a lot, but I mean, whether these guys are innocent or guilty, and let's say they're both innocent, they still kind of like, they still have these questionable pasts that they have to get past before people are going to listen to what they have to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of a handicap right there, and I mean. And then, of course, with Austin Peterson, he's just a fucking mega douche, I just feel like I think he's a douchebag. I feel like a lot of people will just, write him off as a douchebag. He might do really well appealing to disenfranchised Marco Rubio former supporters, But, aside from that, I don't see – I just don't like the guy, period, I don't know. I just couldn't vote for him out of even just not liking him.
Right.
So yeah, like I just think Gary Johnson in so many ways makes the most sense. Another question that I have about John McAfee is when McAfee first announced that he was going to run, he said that he was going to run under the Cyber Party.
The Cyber Party.
Yeah, the Cyber Party. This was in September of 2015. When he first announced he was going to run for president, he said he was going to start a new party called the Cyber Party, and it was going to be titties, or something like that. So, but then at some point, I think McAfee like kind of snapped out of it and realized that, how am I going to start a political party? Maybe it's better to commandeer one that's already in existence, that already has ballot access in 50 states.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, you kind of like question McAfee's libertarianism right there, because if the guy was really a libertarian, why wouldn't he just announce that he was going to run under the libertarian ticket right away? Why wouldn't that be the first thing that he would think of before creating a new political party?
Because he's crazy.
No, but I'm serious. If he was really a libertarian, wouldn't he just think right away? Well, the libertarians, they're my party.
So do you think all this stuff he's saying, all this pro-liberty stuff, is just lip service?
I mean, dude, I don't know what to think. I'm just saying if the guy truly is a libertarian and has identified as such, why wouldn't that party be the first party that he would name right away?
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand that point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And,
hey, whatever happened to him running with fucking Morgan Freeman? What was that all about?
Well, it wasn't him running with Morgan Freeman, apparently Freeman, yeah. Apparently he was saying that he had a good report that Morgan Freeman was thinking about running as a libertarian with who was it? With fucking The Rock was going to be his vice presidential candidate or his VP or something. I can't remember. It was something crazy, but yeah, just stuff like that, Yeah, it's you're just fucking.
Just like, dude, you need to put down the coke.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know. You know, as much as I like I like John McAfee's appearances in the media over the past few months, and I like his performances in the debates. It's like I feel like those are some things that I just find a little questionable.
Right.
And I would just be curious to say, I would just be curious to hear, why. I would be curious to hear, like one thing he said was if he would support any libertarian candidate who the party picks except for Gary Johnson.
Right.
He said if the party picks Gary Johnson, the Libertarian Party is not the place for me. And I'm just thinking, whoa, dude. Were you not around? Because, the Libertarian Party picked Gary Johnson in 2012. So if they pick Gary Johnson, they're not the party for you. Why did you join the party in the first place? Because they picked Gary Johnson in 2012.
Well, I mean, unless he allegedly did something in between now and 2012.
But I mean, there's no proof, and
There's no proof.
There's no proof, and it's notice Weiss is making those statements and not John McAfee.
Right.
But
has John McAfee commented on it at all?
Not that I've seen.
I mean, it sounds just like they're trying to
not that I've
sabotage
seen.
Gary Johnson.
It's one thing I would like to talk to him about. I would like to give him a chance to to put it all out there. You know. But he's not even commenting on it, and the fact that he isn't commenting on it or isn't making as big of a stink about it, and he just got, and just Judd Weiss did it. I mean, I don't know. That's just a little weird to me.
Maybe Judd Weiss went off the rails, and McAfee just doesn't want to even acknowledge it.
I don't know.
And hope that
I mean, it's
just
just speculation. It's just speculation. But these are I'm just throwing out the things that are odd to me.
Right.
And yeah, that's that. So yeah, I think that's probably about it for this week.
Cool.
Yeah. Well,
that was fun.
Until next time, live free.
Drenching the flags of the tax bombs in red. Wasn't by a few at the expense of the many. So did the gods and the machine. You can't justify killing by economic gain. For God, country, and democracy. You can put freedom in gunpoint in a foreign land. You support the troops, then bring them home. I believe that you will do the best for you. And I believe that we have the power, I hate the state, and I know I'm a slave. We can make the break the power. Society owes individuals nothing more than non-interference with natural rights. Once a virtuous person fully comprehends the non-aggression principle, the violence in the state becomes obsolete.